Mr. President, representatives from government, although missing the representative from the Central Drug Authority, the representatives from SANEC, from civil society, community leadership, I welcome you to the 2023 Africa Policy Week. Africa Policy Week has evolved out of the South African Drug Policy Week, which started in 2016 when we had some money from open society foundations and weren't sure what to do with it. And so we very quickly put together the first South African Drug Policy Week ahead of the United Nations General Assembly Special Session on Drugs. Professor Julian Buchanan was the keynote speaker at that event, somebody who President Motlanthe referenced extensively in his talk at the Harm Reduction International Conference in Melbourne. At that very first Drug Policy Week, we had a discussion in a side room about the first opioid substitution program in South Africa. We felt quite motivated to start this, and Professor Monique Marks, Professor Yanni Hugo, Dr. Scheiber, and a few others had a conversation, and shortly thereafter, we started the very first program, low-threshold program in Durban, South Africa. At the 2027 Drug Policy Week, we had representatives from the Global Commission on Drug Policy. We had a commissioner, we've had several commissioners here. We've had the commissioner from Switzerland, Helen Dreyfus, the former president of Switzerland. We had Helen Clark, the former president of New Zealand, Prime Minister of New Zealand, I apologize. We've had Michelle Kazakhstan. We've had Anant Grover. And we are very grateful to the Commission for the support they've given us over the years. And our own president, former President Motlanthe, is a member of the Commission and now has started the East and chairs the East and Southern African Commission on Drug Policy, which is a remarkable achievement considering in 2016 there was very little support for any of this type of conversation. After 2017, we had the 2018 event, which we were very fortunate to again have representatives from the Global Commission and a lot of international speakers. We were interrupted by COVID, and so we had the Drug Policy Day, the African Drug Policy Day, where Justice Cameron was kind enough to give us his input. The reason for going through this history is to say that this particular event has got a history. It is known for sparking change. But we felt that this year there needed to be something different, something more local, something more African, because it's all good and well to hear about best practice examples from overseas, but we have a particular context which a lot of people don't understand. They have not lived through it. And we need to address that. We need to find solutions which are suitable to our context, to our people, which are driven by motivation from the community rather than imposed. There's the saying, that you do for me without me, you do to me. And we best remember that. So I'm immensely grateful to have the former president here today. This process started many years ago in Lisbon, where we had our first discussions around the possibility of the Commission establishing itself. At 2018 Drug Policy Week, we discussed that further with Michelle Kazakhstan. And now, despite COVID, here we are. Whatever happens over the next few days, know this: you are part of an event that changes lives through changing policy. It's proven it in the past, and we will prove it again. It's these small meetings of people who are heavily invested in the particular issue that spark the conversations, that spark the interest and the curiosity that drives change. Be part of the conversation, and we need to put people before policy. So welcome to the Policy Week. I hope that it becomes as beneficial to you as it has to me over the years. In brief thanks, I'd like to thank, of course, the amazing Julie, who has worked with me for over a decade, and without whom none of this would have happened. I thank the organizations that I work with, the University of Pretoria and TB HIV Care, for their constant support, and Sandput, an organization I was privileged enough to be a founding member of, and which I chair, for the support that they've given me over the years, and the support they've given to people who use drugs in South Africa and the policy change. Just before we get to the keynote address, I would like to ask on some of our partners to say one or two brief words. Unfortunately, The CDA, Nandi is not here, but I'm going to reach out to SANEC. Now, if we could, maybe the partners could come and just sit in front here so you can go quickly one after the other. SANEC, we've got Sisonke Sanput, a joint statement, the UNODC, and NACOSA. If you could just sit here and then come up in that order just to briefly say your few words of introduction. Yeah, one by one. Thank you.